Hello, hope you're having a nice day. So today I want to share how I have successfully practiced natural family planning for 10 good years with lots of, you know. Um, so basically, while I was preparing for marriage, I felt the Lord lay on my heart to practice natural family planning. So basically, not to use the pills, and the implants and all those other means. Um, Basically, for two reasons. So one of them being the way some of them work, the way some of the pills. I mean, obviously not all of them, but some of them the way they work is actually they are what is called abortifacient. So in other words, so they try to prevent unwanted pregnancy, and if anything should happen, I mean, if pregnancy should occur, the chemical will actually cause an abortion. So I don't want that. Another main reason is because of the side effects, which prolonged use of these methods, cause on the body of the woman. Some of them are minor side effects, so which could just be weight gain. So you see some women, because they're on family planning, they put on a lot of weight. So some of them have mood changes, maybe spotting between cycles, and to the more serious side effects, which could include stroke, heart disease, high blood pressure, depression, gallbladder disease, and perhaps many other side effects like that. So basically, for these two reasons, I decided to go natural. And when my wife came, so I discussed with her, and she agreed. So for me, I mean, until now, I thought is common knowledge, because you might want to ask, so why 10 years? Why do you have to wait for 10 years before you can share something as good as this? Uh, Basically, I thought it's common knowledge, so that people should know about it. And also, recently, when I hear of the side effects, these other methods are having on some women, I then decided to share. So basically, I mean, after 10 years, if you do something successfully for 10 years, then you are credible. And that is the reason. Now, so what I want to share with you is how, so the natural family planning method I'm talking about basically is the effective use of the safe period. And I will share with you how you could have up to 18 days a month safe, where you don't have to worry about pregnancy. So yourself and your wife can come together. And may I say, of course, I'm talking to married people, and I hope you understand. So, so what I'm going to do, I will talk you through the basic. I'll give you basic information about the safe period, how things work, and how you could use that. Then I will also talk about the specific method that I've used, where I've been able to effectively maximize the use of safe period, so that is effective. All right. Um, so I just want to discuss the basics of the safe period. Um, so this is how a woman's cycle look like. Like I mentioned earlier, if I did, that for you to use this natural family planning method that is relying on the safe period, ideally you should have regular period. So a regular period is one that is not less than 26 days from one menstruation to the next menstruation, and not more than 32 or 35 days, thereabouts. But the average woman's cycle lasts about 28 days. So if yours is between 26 to 32, it's still okay. So I'm going to use the average of 28 days for my illustration. So from common biology, what we understand is that a woman will ovulate around the middle of her cycle. So let's call that day 14. And this is when she ovulates, the woman's egg have up to 24 hours for it to be fertilized, for pregnancy to happen. We also know that the man's sperm could live up to 5 days in the woman's body and be alive. After 5 days, they generally just die. So the first day of your flow, menstrual flow, that's your day 1. So that you can know how to count. So including that day, that's day 1. And for you to also understand whether you have a regular cycle. So you count from the last time when you first saw your flow up to the next time you see the flow, how many days it is. So if it's between 26 and 32, then that is fine. Now, since we know that the egg needs to be fertilized within 24 hours and the man's sperm can live up to 5 days, it follows that if a husband and wife or does not have sex 5 days or more, or maybe I would just say more than 5 days before the ovulation, then pregnancy will not happen. Or if they come together several days after the ovulation, again also pregnancy will not happen. But it look quite simple, but there are some variations, to this. First of all, so like we mentioned, if a man and a wife come together up to perhaps I would say day 7, but we must also remember that the first day of the cycle is when the menstrual flow is coming. Ideally, I know it is possible. I mean, in the Old Testament, it's a gross sin for a man to come near his wife when she's menstruating. But in the New Testament, we are not under such a law. But common sense, personal hygiene should tell us. I mean, it doesn't look ideal, with the mess. So if I know that some women's flow could last just 1 day, by the evening they are dry. Some is 2 days, some 3, some 5. I've even heard that some women, menstrual flow could last up to 7 days. So effectively, what that means that the man should forget about this, and he should only be looking at this period. And also there are some variation also that we assume that day 14 the woman will ovulate. We've seen instances where some women even ovulate during their menstrual cycle. So I will talk about this, the application. So this is just to talk about the basics, how the safe period work, and then I will share 2 application. By implication, if you're trying to use family planning to prevent pregnancy, it could also be used to know when to get pregnant. I pray that you understand. All right, so I will now discuss 2 ways to apply this and also share my experience. Thank you. All right. So the first application is where you can use any of the online app. So this is what I did when I first got married. So just go online if you don't want to disturb yourself too much. Go online. There are many websites and apps that can give you specific dates. So the one I'm using here is called safeperiodcalculator.com. And all you need to do, it will ask you, do you have irregular menstrual cycle? So you say yes. What's the duration? Like I say, I'm using average of 28 days. So it will ask you the first day of your menstrual cycle. So let's assume it's the first, just for ease of calculation. Once you put that in, you click calculate, and it will tell you which days you are safe. As you can see here, it says your safe days are from August the 1st to the 7th, and from 21st to 29th. So personally, I used this briefly, and then quickly I realized how frustrating it could be. So, like I mentioned in the last session, so this first day to 7 day include the period of the menstrual flow as well. So this number one could be deceptive, because I mean, unless you want to really get messy, uh, uh, you might not count these days. And then what this apps does is, you'll find out that it gives you only about a week, after. And personally, I found that frustrating. And also, we must not forget the fact that, like I mentioned before, that during menstruation, some women, I don't know how it happens, potentially they ovulate, and if you are not careful, you could get pregnant. And one um, limitation I found about using these apps is the fact that they made so many assumptions. So I mentioned earlier that there are a number of variations that you need to be aware of. So because they are trying to be very safe, so that's why they give you this very tight arrangement. So imagine from 21 to 29, I would say that's just about 8 days, thereabouts, about a week. So for a man, that could be frustrating, especially if you are the type where the menstrual flow of your wife lasts so long. If it lasts up to 7 days, what are you gonna do? You know. So this is one application. It works if your cycle is very regular. There's no wide variation. You can use it, and I use it initially, but I will discuss another method, which is something I have uh, carved out for myself, so which give me a lot of flexibility. And that is what I will call the precision method. I will discuss that um, in the next screen. All right. Okay. Okay. So this is the method I call the precision method. This is a method I prefer, and that what is we recommend, because it hardly made any assumption. You are precise about the safe days. So basically, the way it works, still work based on the safe period calculation. But what you do, you actually want to know the days where ovulation is taking place. This will involve the use of ovulation test kits. You could use any of them. I think they are not expensive. Just buy any ovulation testing kit. I would say a pack of 50, which could last for a whole year, probably will cost £10 or less. So I think that should not be expensive. So compared to, I mean, those who use pill and they have to buy the pill every month, so I would think you spend less than 10, I mean, you spend more than £10. So I mean, I don't think the cost should be an inhibitor. Okay, so the way this works is this. So it's still based on the same basics, which I discussed before, that the woman will ovulate around day 14. But here, you don't want to make an assumption. You don't want to assume she will ovulate on day 14. So you want to test that she is ovulating. So what I want to show you now is using ovulation test kits, how you could have up to 18 days free that are safe. You and your wife could have safe sex, without worry of anything. And I will show you how I arrive at the 14 to 18 days. So that's why I say up to 18 days. To me, which I think is great. I mean, out of 28 days, if you have 14 to 18 days, I mean, unless you are at it every day, that should be fine. Now, so this is the way it works. So day one of your menstrual cycle, like I mentioned before, I do not expect anything to happen, because the woman is menstruating. Uh, if you are the type that, let's say your wife's cycle lasts only 2 days, um, then after day two, then it is safe. It is safe, up to day seven. They say up to day seven, but I personally like to add 1 or 2 more days, just to be safe, because sometimes the woman doesn't ovulate on the 14th. She could ovulate on the 13th, or sometime maybe on the 12th. But basically, it shouldn't go beyond, earlier than 12, otherwise that becomes abnormal. So this is what I mean by precision method. And also the last application using the apps, which I talk about, I said they make a lot of assumptions. So and you don't want to make an assumption. And also from experience, we saw that some women who actually ovulate during this period, during the period of menstruation. And if, like I said, I will not advise, any messy transaction happening in the days where the woman is having a flow. But as soon as our flow is dry, so let's say day two or day three, I will generally advise that you do a test just to confirm. And that's why we call it precision, just to confirm that there is no abnormal ovulation happening maybe during or shortly after the menstrual flow. And if that is the case, then you are free, you are good to go, So that's why you could have, I would normally advise people stop on day 5 or maybe day 6. Day 7 could still be fine, but you want to add 1 more day, because 1 more day could make a big difference when it comes to pregnancy. So depending on when our flow stops, you could have 2 to 4 days. So if our flow stop on day 2, you could start at day 2. You have 4 days. When I say you have 4 days, it doesn't mean every day, but you have 4 days, however you want to use it, it's between yourself and your wife. And then after that, I will definitely, you should not have any unprotected sex, anything from day 7 until after the ovulation. Now, again, as part of this method, you want to actually confirm the date of the ovulation. So I would generally advise people to start testing on day 12, because sometimes the ovulation could come earlier, sometimes it comes maybe a day earlier. So if you test on day 12 or maybe day 13, once you establish that ovulation occur, you have a positive result, let's say on day 14, then it is settled for that month that ovulation has occurred. So remember, in the last session, I mentioned that the woman's egg has only up to 24 hours to live before for it to be fertilized, otherwise it just die. So what that means is that once ovulation happens on day 14, you could, if you see up to day 15, the egg could be fertilized. And sometime, maybe ovulation could actually not happen on day 14, it could happen on day 15. That is why this method it has to be precise. You need to know exactly when ovulation happens. And what I will say, just add 3 days to it. So, and also whenever you have a positive test results, depending on what kit you are using, it doesn't mean that ovulation is happening at that hour. It could actually mean it's happening the next 12 to 24 hours. So if you test positive on day 14, it could actually mean that, or let's say day 13 or day 14, the ovulation could happen up to day 15. So I will not advise for you to rush at it, the moment you see a day after. I will just add 3 days. So if it happened on day 14, add 3 days. And from day 17, I can guarantee you, if you have used the precision method and you know exactly when you ovulate on day 14, from day 17, the egg has no chance. Then you are free. So this is about 12. So depending on how many, the length of your cycle, if it's up to 30 days, so this is about 12 to 14 days compared to the app that tells you from day 21, that you're not safe. And there's the reason why they said that, because there's a instances where some women ovulate, or two eggs are released within two days apart, maybe 2 or 3 days apart, and even if you ovulated on day 14, they are also counting in case another egg comes up, shortly after that. But if you use this method, I would say once you test positive on day 14, in theory from day 17, then you are safe. But I would say that before you start anything, just do another test, just to make sure that another egg is not released. And if you understand your cycle, I mean, you probably don't need to do this all the time. If you're not the type that release two eggs, in a month, or you are menstruating and ovulating at the same time, then you know that from day 17, you are free. So here you have 12 to 14 days after the ovulation. You have 2 to 4 days before the ovulation. That is up to 18 days free. Now, talking about this period from day 7 to day 14, does that mean that you and your husband, or you and your wife cannot sleep together? No. It just means that you must not have unprotected sex. Whatever you do, however method you want to use to make sure, I mean, what brings pregnancy is when the man's sperm fertilize the egg. Whatever you do, just make sure that you don't put sperm in the woman. So wherever you choose to put it, I know some people have issues, maybe using particular means, or maybe using condom or using other means. There are, whatever way you choose, some want to use withdrawal method, which require a high level of discipline, but the point is, it doesn't mean that you cannot have sex, within this 11 days period from day 7 to day 14. Of course you can do, but just make sure you don't put your sperm in the woman's body, otherwise she could get pregnant. So whichever way you choose, just make sure that that area is covered. So in a month, as I've explained here now, you have up to 18 days where you can be natural, with your wife, yourself and your wife. And outside that, you can choose other means, to prevent unwanted pregnancy. And personally, I think that is great. So like I mentioned, in a 30 days, if you have 18 days, what else are you looking for? So perhaps maybe within this period of ovulation, maybe you probably need one or two, whatever, and that's how it is, you find it. So it's a combination of majority natural sex without thinking of protection. And if you need to, while she's ovulating, just protect yourself. And it's as simple, as that. Okay, I will now talk more about the other aspects to this method. Okay. Thank you for listening, for your patience watching so far. So I will just give a summary of what I've shared so far. So basically, the natural family planning allows you to have up to 18 days, safe. And like I mentioned, this clip is for married couple. I'm a believer, proudly a believer. Is for married couple. It is not for people who are doing boyfriend, girlfriend. If you use my method, to commit sin, well, you will answer to God. So I'm here out here to help married couple actually. And also, one thing about the method which I recommend, which is the precision method, which involves the use of ovulation kits. I know maybe in some parts of the world, maybe that might be an issue. I don't know if £10 a year could be an issue to anybody, but if it is an issue, Yes, personally, I'll be happy to sponsor, or to donate, kits to anyone who is willing to do it but could not afford it. After all, as a believer, we want to make sure that people are not doing things that are against the plan of God. There are organizations whose aim is to sponsor abortion, and they do it shamelessly without apology. They can pump millions of dollars, billions of dollars, persuading people, psyching people up to engage in practices, of abortion. So if organization could do that, why not us? And if you are here out there, if you want to partner with us, in regions where people cannot afford, the kits, the ovulation test kits, I know there are some other natural methods. Some people use the mucus method or the temperature method to find out when exactly they ovulate. Well, men have always had one method or the other, but we know that that is not so, may not be so accurate. It could still be used if that's all you've got, but I want to say that if you share my vision, and there are people out there, you don't know what it means. Some people who have to come off the pill or the implant or the coil. I've had instances of people go out to give testimony that this thing has to come out of them, or it come out miraculously. No, and they are worried what will happen to their marriage. Will they start having problem? I can tell you this is a method you can use if you have regular period. And if you don't, like I said, if you understand it yourself, uh, maybe you can adapt it. But as mentioned, this is not a medical advice. I'm only sharing what I've done. And if you're in a similar situation, perhaps you could have the same results. And I also want to say that I'd like to hear your comments. How this has been helpful, or how it could be helpful. And one more thing is that because I don't want the video to be so long, there are other aspects to cover, so which I plan to do in part 2. So if I get encouragement, if I see that people are benefiting from it, then of course I can do part 2. So I will address things like if you have questions, I can answer your questions. What do you do, for example, if the woman is sick, when you get pregnant, when you have a baby, when you are breastfeeding, and you are not menstruating. So how do you deal with all this? So I've passed through that, multiple times, and I can share my experience with you. So I'll be happy to hear from you, and I pray that God bless you. So enjoy your marriage, enjoy the gift of God. Sex is a gift of God. It is meant to make a marriage go stronger, and the Lord bless you. Thank you so much.